Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm doing this Facebook Live at a very different time. I would never usually do a Facebook Live this late in the evening, my time. And the reason is why I'm actually doing this is because I have just been in, I'm actually currently studying to get my master's in my NLP practitioner course. And basically, we just went through some amazing processes which actually put me in an incredibly energized state of being. And I thought, why not just capitalize on what I'm experiencing right now and share with you guys something that I feel is a super empowering perspective. And I can't wait to hear from you guys out there. So I want to hear from you as you are joining live. Please do share this message so that more people can join. I don't know what's happened with Facebook right now, but my messages don't seem to be getting out. So not sure what's going on, but as long as you guys who are joining me can get to see it, I'm very, very happy. And I would love to hear from you guys. So could you please let me know if you struggle with expectations? So if you feel like you've constantly got expectations that you place upon different people, different circumstances, you're currently living in this place of expecting things to be certain ways, and then maybe you experience a certain amount of disappointment in your life. Might be able to answer some questions for that today because really this is a big one. And those of you who are into your personal development, and if you've come across any of the work of Tony Robbins, then you might have heard his amazing quote, which I really love on this topic, which is, when you swap your expectations for appreciation, your whole world changes. All right. And this is a really, really powerful one, because if we're not in control of our experience, our state of being, how we experience the world in any given moment, then what happens is we're kind of at the whim of the external world and our unchecked, unconscious, habitual ways of seeing the world. And that isn't always going to get us the result that we're after. So I, again, just want to hear from you guys. Let me know if expectations are something that you have struggled with, or that anybody in your life you know struggles with. Maybe you feel like you're constantly letting people down because of these expectations that they have, and you had zero idea you were even supposed to live up to certain expectations. All right, so drop me some comments, check in with me, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from, because today's message is going to be a powerful one for us to wrap our minds around. And today it is that expectations are premeditated disappointments. Okay, so really think about that one. So if expectations are premeditated disappointments, we've got to think about where in our life are we living in this realm of constant expectation, and we've got to also think about whether or not that is supporting us. And the only way it's going to support us is if we are wanting to and intentionally trying to create a life in which we experience disappointments. All right, on and on and on. So when I heard this, it really rung true, because for those of you who have been following me for a while, you might have heard one of my messages more recently, or probably about 2 months ago now, where I spoke into some different concepts that I absolutely throw out the window when it comes to intimate relationship as the extreme, but you can apply it to all areas of life. And one of those concepts that I throw in the bin is this idea of having any expectations. And it's really because of this. Think about it. Think about like all the disappointments that you've experienced in your life. Every single one of them you've actually premeditated in an expectation that you set, right? So we've only ever got this present moment that we're in. And what we can choose to do with that moment is either be present to the moment, or we can We can choose to have some sort of expectation that we create that we are going to experience a certain reality in our future, right? And then that time moves along and we get to that point in time where we've previously created or premeditated this expectation, right? And if anything other than what we've expected occurs, we experience disappointment, all right? Now, nothing really matters in life other than what you're experiencing of it in any given moment. So if we're left unconscious, we're going to set expectations, premeditating disappointment, setting ourselves up to experience disappointment. And instead we're creating a circumstance to experience a reality that we don't actually want. I don't know about you, but feeling a sense of disappointment is not a state of being that I would consciously and actively choose to recreate over and over again in my life, because I would actually want to experience, that appreciation, that sense of awe, joy, a curiosity, an openness to learn something new, a fulfillment. A lot of people might want to experience happiness, right? And so if we want to have different experiences in our life, we have to be in control of the states that we optimally want to experience. We have to be intentional about it. And there's certain ways of actually doing that, right? But the key for today's message, without going into the depths of how to go about doing that, is basically just reminding ourselves that if we are experiencing a lot of disappointment in our lives, just remember it's connected to expectations that we've set. And remember that when we're setting expectations, we are, premeditating disappointment in our life. So what do we do instead? Like I mentioned at the beginning of this message, one of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins is that when we swap our expectation for appreciation, our whole world opens up and changes. And so what we must do instead of setting ourselves up for disappointment is to find and focus on all that we have to appreciate in any given moment. And a big part of some of the work that I've been personally doing and professionally doing is helping myself and others get out of the energy drain that is this constant projection into the future and setting expectations. And then what happens is we have this big gap, right? We have this gap between where we currently are and this expectation that we project out into our future. And what we do is we waste every given moment and drain every given moment with this manic focus on the anxiety that we experience between the gap between where we are and this future reality that we've projected. All right, so there is, of course, reason to set intention and vision about what we want to create, but then we need to be consciously aware of bringing ourselves then back into the moment and taking meaningful action that will close the gap, rather than what most of us do, and I've definitely been guilty of this, which is to project an expectation into the future and then get so wrapped up in the present moment about the anxiety of not actually being in that expectation, that you drain all of your energy and enthusiasm and engagement from the present moment to actually take the meaningful action to close the gap. All right, so can you see what I mean? Like how important it is to be very conscious of how you're setting expectations, right? I drop the word expectation completely, and what I use instead is a meaningful vision of what I'm currently working towards, and then I spend my energy putting myself into a state of flow, a state of presence in the given moment, which has in mind the vision that I'm working toward, but is fully conscious of the work and the action that will take in the given moment, in the present moment that I have, which is reality, to move in that direction. And I also am aware that when I set unconscious expectations, what I'm really doing is setting a premeditated disappointment. And I don't want to consciously, I wouldn't be able to consciously do that, right? Because I want to experience freedom, fulfillment. I want to actually attain those visions, and I want to enjoy every moment in the progress towards that inspired vision. So that's kind of my unpacking for this topic for you guys today. And I also just wanted to kind of bust out a message so late because, like I said, I'm not going to bed anytime soon because I've gotten myself into a really passionate state of being that I felt called to present to you guys on this particular topic. And I really hope it helps. So remember, expectations are premeditated disappointments. If you're experiencing a lot of disappointments in your life, just know they're connected to expectations that you're unconsciously setting for yourself, and you are living in the future rather than in the reality of the present moment. So what happens is you drain all the energy and your enthusiasm and your engagement for what could be used to move towards a future that you actually like and enjoy the moment in doing so, and instead you're draining it in this anxiety of this hyper focus on the gap between where you currently are and where you wanted to be or expect yourself to be or how you expect others to be, right? And just as a side note on this, I love what Dr. John Demartini says about this, that we have a set of values as individuals, right? And we tend to project our set of values and expect other people to live in our values. And that is never going to get you anywhere other than a state of disappointment, all right? So we have to take a step back and we have to take this meta perspective on how we're operating in the world, particularly if we're not creating the state of being that we would want to create, and also the connections that we would want to have in our relationships. Because we have to realize that all of us have our own set of values, and we're always going to be living in our own set of values. And to expect anybody to live in our unique set of values is to really, again, premeditate disappointment. So the moment you step out of that, and the moment you realize our differences and you start to appreciate the differences that we all bring, and you start to realize that we're all living in our highest values, and you want people to be living in their values, not yours, right? Because you want authentic connection, enlivened connection. Then, and at the end of the day, even if you got other people to live in your set of values, in the long run, you're going to feel a sense of disappointment because you're not going to be connecting with the real human being. You're going to be connecting with somebody who's too fearful and too disconnected from themselves to operate in a way that is authentic and true for them. So who really are you in relationship with, right? That's what creates the disconnection. So we need to be more forethinking in terms of how we're operating for our own states of being and also in connection with others. So definitely want to check in with you guys and just see who's been able to join me. So drop me a quick comment, a question, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from, and I'd love to check in. So Yuishi is here as well, and Ulrich and Victoria and Brandon and Dill and AJ, hello, and Fahiman, good to see you. Expectation and visualizations are somehow the same thing. It is causing a lot of problems for me. Okay, so no. So here, let me differentiate for you. So expectations are very fixed mindset, right? Visualization, we want to look at with a growth mindset. All right, so expectations are black and white. It must happen, or it has to happen this way, or I'm not going to be happy about it, right? And a visualization is something that we are less attached to. It's more flexible, and it's coming from a place of inspiration. Expectations are tending to come from a place of fear, trying to protect ourselves, right? And we're quite rigid with expectations, whereas visualization, and both can be used these different ways, but I'd invite you to use it in this way. A visualization has a growth mindset. It's got a flexibility. It's got a non-attachment. It's projecting out there. It's putting this inspired vision out there, and it's using that vision to pull us through the challenges, right? But we're staying present and active in the moment with enthusiasm, moving us toward progressing toward that visualization and its actualization. Whereas what I'm talking about and how I'm projecting a different result for an expectation is the negative fixed mindset, black and white, has to happen this way or else it's a failure, or else I'm going to be disappointed, right? That's going to be different to having a visualization. It comes down to being in a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Right? And think about it in terms of in connection to disappointment. Okay, so you're setting yourself up for experiencing disappointment when you have a fixed-minded expectation, right? It has to happen this way or else that's it. I'm not going to feel good. Versus a visualization, which is putting something out there that you're inspired by in the future that can pull you through, right? But you're not attached to it. It's actually just out there so you have meaning and purpose behind the action that you take in the present moment. Okay, so I hope that helps, but it's all about the meanings that you create and put behind those words so you can take on board the suggestions that I've just given you in the hope that will give you a more meaningful and empowered perspective. And also, this is a really valuable message for you guys, particularly if you experience disappointment. And I speak to so many people who have these disappointments about the outcomes that they're experiencing, about the people in their life, the relationships that they're having, and like no normal, healthy human being is going to consciously choose to experience disappointment in their life. All right, so that's why this particular concept is going to be helpful for you to know and to pick up on the fact that if you're experiencing a lot of disappointment in your life, look at your expectations and know that they are premeditated disappointments. And instead, what we want to do is we want to consciously visualize what we want, and then we want to be present to the moment, not project our expectation into our future and set ourselves up for disappointment. All right, so it's easier to apply this to your life when you look at your current set of circumstances and particularly look at any experience of disappointment that you have recently or are currently having in your life, and ask yourself, what was my expectation that's connected to this disappointment? All right, and then instead, how could I be more appreciative of what is and be more present to the moment and utilizing my energy to actively progress towards a visualization of what inspires me rather than an expectation and a rigidness of how things have to be that will set me up for disappointment. All right, appreciate your comments there, Fahimin, and I really hope that was of help to you. Hope you're doing amazingly well. And Jerry's here as well, 5:35 in Quebec City in Canada. Awesome to see you, my friend. And Brandon, hi Vanessa from Oklahoma City. Here, Aquarius Sun. I love it, Brandon. Good to see you, my friend. Grateful to have you show up and hope that this message is of value to you and to all of you guys tuning in. So if it was of value, please do share this message with anybody that you feel could also get some value from it. And my message to you, as always, every single day, is to go out there and live authentically, to love deeply, and to contribute meaningfully and purposefully. Thanks so much for showing up live with me today and contributing to the conversation. You are so appreciated, and I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Much love.